Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my corner of the internet. Let's begin. A mighty tree towering over everything else. Yggdrasil, the World Ash. At its roots, you can marvel at what you get when you combine World of Warcraft with WildStar. I'm not talking about the games themselves though, but their developers. Talented people from both development teams came together to form Frostkeep Studio. I had the pleasure to meet some of them and talk about their game that recently entered early access. As usual, that means that the game is far from finished, but the base is there and it looks very promising. And that's actually what got me interested in the first place, Rend's look. Mostly cartoony, but with a hint of realism. It makes the world you play in really pleasant to look at. And don't even get me started on the beautiful stags that strut around in the highlands, one of currently 12 biomes. Just imagine riding to work on one of these majestic beasts. It is sometimes really hard for me to draw my eyes away from the gigantic illuminated world tree or the breathtaking skybox. Instead of boring clouds and a sun, you can see the broken remains of a planet, floating rocks, colorful celestial bodies. It's so pretty. Enough talk about my favorite topic. You know, I studied how to build virtual worlds, and it will probably never cease to fascinate me. But back to Rend. It's an open world sandbox survival game. No, please don't click away. At least it's not a battle royale game, right? Let me tell you why Rend is different and worth your time. And it's not only the fact that the developers promised that there will be no microtransactions and no future switch to free-to-play. There are 3 factions. They originally only differed in their color scheme, but the players gave them personality. And Jeremy Wood, co-founder of Frostkeep, told me that started way back when the developers introduced them to their fanbase on Discord. The next day, hostile camps had already formed, the almost militarily organized order, the friendly, helpful revenants, and then the chaos-loving trolls of the Conclave. I actually experienced those characteristics on my server, but they might of course change soon, with Rend now being open to more people. Every new player starts in a safe zone on one of the corners of the triangular map. So no T-Rexes, mega snakes or other monsters killing you on spawn. Thanks for the trauma arc. Heading north, you'll come across your faction's stronghold. Under a protective dome, you build a base together with up to 19 other members of your faction. Fill it with crafting stations, chests full of valuable resources, and fortify it as much as possible. Wouldn't want your enemies to have it easy once they decide to lay siege on you, right? Your divinity stone only deserves the best protection you can possibly offer. This big gem in the center of your stronghold is by far the most important item in the game. My fellow revenants told me that we need to feed it with spirits. Okay, but what are those? My question was answered the next night cycle. Suddenly there was this blue wisp hovering right in front of my face. I hit it with my axe, and sparks went flying off. Promising. Multiple hits later, I was the proud owner of my first bit of spirit energy. Once you fill the divinity stone with enough of said energy, you win and ascend to Valhalla. Yep, you heard that right. This game has an end. If a round ends, you lose your character and progress, but the multiplier is applied to all the ascension points you earned while playing. With those, you can purchase permanent perks like more health or even new haircuts for future characters. Great motivation for me to keep playing because I desperately need that side braid hairstyle. I know it has no impact on my ability to kill my opponents, but I want to look fabulous while doing so. Usually, the idea of losing my character after investing a lot of time into him or her would immediately turn me off. I simply get very attached. That's why MOBAs and hero shooters aren't my favorite kind of game. However, a Rend match takes a couple weeks, and that makes a huge difference. Instead of play and throw away, it actually feels more like a natural progression. My hero wasn't worthy of ascending to Valhalla yet, so he gets a new chance. Maybe following a different path this time, but wiser due to his past experiences. A bit like a slow roguelike actually. But at its core, Rend is a third-person shooter, albeit with bows and crossbows instead of modern guns or rifles. How do you get your Norse mythology appropriate firearms? Crafting, of course. What else? If you played other survival games, everything in Rend will feel familiar, but even newbies should get the hang of it rather fast. The interface is not perfect yet, but clean and consistent. Very important in a game of this scale, because the mechanics don't stop at the usual harvesting, crafting, building and fighting. Let me introduce you to one of the other aspects of Rend that make it different. Skill trees. Every new character you create can pick 2 out of 4 specializations. Focusing on shamanism will at one point allow you to fade in and out of the spirit world, while the Pathfinder is mastering the environment, taking less stamina to sprint, for example, if you want to invest into this talent. The necessary points you earn by simply leveling up. And that's not the only kind of skill tree. Every little thing you do, be it sinking your axe into a tree trunk or researching a new potion, everything gives you experience in the respective category. Whenever you cross certain thresholds, you can choose between 2 skills that will make the corresponding activity easier or more profitable. The more you train your abilities, the more pleasant your time in this rather dangerous world will be. The aforementioned spirit world is an eerie place. It's also pretty important for one of my favorite things in, well, pretty much every game that allows it: taming animals. But don't rush, this requires preparation. Taming crystal? Special bow and arrows? A way to cross into the spirit world? Perfect, now you're ready. Most guides will tell you to start with one of the low-level pigs until you get the hang of it. Who do they think I am? I want a wolf. 3 deaths in the spirit world by the teeth of my supposed pets later, I learned something very important. The species doesn't matter that much. Pick something low level and with a low pet rating, otherwise you'll kill or be killed before the taming bar is full. This way I finally tamed my canine companion. Not only is it really cool to ride on a wolf, your pets also help you in battle. My pup might be a bit confused because honestly, I'm not the biggest fighter. Well, let me rephrase that slightly. I'm not the biggest fan of PvP. Never been, probably never will be, but I can still see myself playing more of this game. The faction territories aren't just divided by borders. Nope, you have to step through a portal. So far, I haven't seen a single enemy player on my home turf. Although that might have something to do with the fact that the other 2 factions seem way more interested in waging war than us revenants. At least on my server. Most of us prefer crafting, exploring and taming. There are days where the whole base is full of animals. Makes it slightly difficult to move around. There is one event when this would be absolutely deadly. The Reckoning. Depending on the server, it happens once or twice a week. During this event, all the shields are removed from the faction strongholds, the music gets more intense and the sky turns dark red. A sign that zombie-like creatures, which you usually only see in the spirit world, are about to attack. The Lost Draugr. They are drawn to the divinity stones and will relentlessly move towards them, destroying anything in their path. If they manage to reach their destination, they will drain the stone of the spirit energy that you so painstakingly collected, potentially nullifying all your hard work. Not to mention, members of the other factions might take advantage of your weakened state. After the Draugr decimated your defense, there is nothing keeping the enemy from rushing in after them and finishing what they started. There are so many interesting aspects for competitive players in this game. And it almost makes me a bit sad that I'm more of a pacifist. I even prefer fruit over meat in Rend, but that might have also something to do with the hassle of having to cook meat or ending up with food poisoning. Not advisable. My bag is full of berries and melon while I sneak through the woods and marvel at the creatures wandering around. One day I'll get one of those stags. All the while having an eye on the carvings on Yggdrasil. With every bit of spirit energy that we collect, the purple glow rises towards the treetop. And my character's dream of ascending to Valhalla suddenly seems possible. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope your day's as good as gold. See you next video.